Greetings. Welcome to another episode of I Have a Testimony. I'm your host, Brother Willie Muhammad.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Very few people who have been blessed to be in the presence of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have not walked away without being touched by his love and his spirit.
This is monumental here. Don't lose sight of that. Because we can all sit here who we is, what we doing, but dog, for real, this Louis Farrakhan. So that's incredible. I feel like, man.
That's all right, brother. That's all right. Go on, Steve.
That's right. That's right.
I be wanting it for black people, so
That's right.
That's all right, brother.
some days it's hard to say some of the that I have to say. And then have to hit them when I get through saying it. All the meetings I got to go to for saying what I say on the radio. But I just believe. I just
All right, brother.
believe that we really ain't got to kill each other like we do. We're not enemies, man. We brothers.
Today you will hear the testimony of our sister, Sister Tequella Muhammad, about this magnificent man that God has in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Thank you for accepting our invitation, sister.
All praise is due to Allah. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Islam. So we'll get right down to it. My first question to you is, from your perspective, why do you feel it is important for us, those whose lives have been touched by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, to share their testimony?
Praise be to Allah. I feel like it's important because, we must know who we have in our midst in this moment of time. To be able to have those experiences, especially from the pioneers who've not only experienced the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, but the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that is a help for us and a guiding light for us into the future generations and the generations of our children and our nation.
What are some specific ways in which you have benefited from the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that you can share with us today?
Wow. I would say my entire life. I bear witness to the transformation, the transformative powers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, teaching me how to be a better mother, a better sister, a better friend, learning what it is and what it feels like to have a father. I grew up without that in my life, and I believe that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was the father figure that I had in my life, showing me and teaching me what it is to be a good husband, a good father, a good grandfather, and a leader, teacher, and guide in the midst of this wilderness.
Wow, that's very, very interesting, because oftentimes we hear about how the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been a good example as a father figure in the lives of brothers, but that is also true for the sisters as well. You've been blessed to have the opportunity to meet the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Can you tell us about that experience and how it came about and the impact that it had on your life?
All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. An amazing experience, one I would take with me forever. I want to start back a little bit from how just the thought came to my mind to even, really desire to the point of manifesting that meeting with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I remember one day I was walking in Whole Foods, and we have a set of twin brothers at the Mosque 55 in Memphis, Tennessee. And they were sitting in the mosque. One of them came up to me and said, "You wouldn't believe who I'm talking to right now." And I said, "Who?" He said, "The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan." So I'm like, "Oh, wait, let me speak. Let me talk to him. Let me hear. Let me say something to him." So he's like, "No, you can't talk to him right now." And I said, "Well," I said, y'all lucky." I said, how does one get to meet the minister? How is this even possible? Like, how are y'all able to do that? I said, "I've been wanting to meet the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan forever. You know, I grew up watching him as a child, and I just wanted that opportunity. I got close to him, but never to the point of actually, you know, meeting him or shaking his hand." And the brother told me, he said, "You have to pray to Allah, ask Allah, you know, to," he said something like, "position the stars and align it." So I'm like, okay. So when he said it, he was talking, but I just took that to heart. So I'm like, okay. And I actually went home, and when I got on my prayer rug, I actually prayed, you know, to Allah and Master Brother Muhammad to have the ability and opportunity to meet the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I also took my journal, and I said to myself in my journal, I wrote it, I said, I desire to meet the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That was something that I was doing in the process of manifesting things in my life and things that I wanted. So that's something I wrote down in my journal in 2018 and circled it. I circled it. Yes, sir.
And so, like, as a picture, and now tell us about it actually manifested, like,
Yes.
as the photo that we showed on the screen. Tell us about that meeting, how it came about. Run us through the details.
Yes, sir. So we had a mosque meeting, and it was, I believe it was definitely on a Wednesday, and I think it was just like our little I don't know what you want to call it, our little monthly meeting. And they said 15 people have the opportunity to meet the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and eat dinner with him. And they had a contest for NFA studios. And they were saying that whoever sold the most subscriptions, it's just like a Netflix, they will have the opportunity, those 15 individuals, to not only eat dinner with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, but he will put a certain amount of money, I believe it was $700 and something, $750 or something, on our Savior's Day gift as well. And so while I was sitting there, I had a sister friend named Sister Aisha Muhammad. I looked at her and I told her, I said, "Sis, I'm going to be in that 15. I bear witness, I'm going to be in that 15. And she said, "Go for it, sis." So I was already plotting in my mind right then and there while I was sitting there when they mentioned it. I said, I'm going to do that. I'm manifesting it in my mind. And I didn't have no doubt that I would be one of those 15 people. And I sought out to work. Fast forward, I got a text message that said, "Congratulations, I was one of the winners of that subscription contest, and I will be eating dinner with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan." And the joy and the happiness and all the screams that came out of my mouth at that moment, I was like very elated from that. And it was Savior's Day 2018 when that took place. And we met at the hotel. We had someone to come and get us. We had to meet at a certain time. And they took us up to meet the minister. And we had to go through our the rigorous part of, you know, our being searched and checked and everything. And then we had to sit in a room and await his presence to come in so that we can actually meet him. And when he walked in the room, I knew he was in there. I didn't even look up. I didn't see him. I just felt his presence when he came into the room. And I was actually scared to look to look at him. I was nervous. I was like, Lord, he's standing right here. And he walked in, and it was a sister sitting next to me who was also a winner of the contest. She kind of favored Sister Captain Nusayba Muhammad from Atlanta. And he walked in and he was like, "Is that Sister Nusayba?" And everybody just bust out laughing. Like, he just came in and broke the monotony, broke the the ice, and just came in smiling real happy. So that was the first process, the first part of meeting him.
Okay. Y'all had dinner, right? And
yes.
So what was that like? Because I know the minister, every opportunity he's teaching and he's asking everybody about themselves. So talk about that.
Yes, he definitely is. So the seating arrangements, the way they set the table was based off of your total number of subscriptions in that order. So the one who sold the most subscriptions got to sit right next to the minister. So the I was third place. The first was Brother Ben X, and then it was Brother Reza Islam, and then I was third place in the contest. Um, Unfortunately, Brother Reza didn't make that dinner.
Wow.
So he was supposed to, Brother Ben sat on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's right, and then Brother Reza was supposed to sit on his left, but he did not show up. So I was that one that got to sit right there next to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I didn't know what to do. When I was sitting next to him, they started to serve. Sister Captain Nusayba Muhammad and her team served us dinner, the bean soup, the salad, our full course meal, and chocolate cake. And then when I sat down next to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I was trying to watch everything that he was doing because I didn't want to make no mistakes. Because I'm the silly one, I would have just dropped the glass of water or something. So I just, every time he picked his spoon up and was talking, I did the same thing he did. I just followed everything that I saw him doing. And just being able to be in his presence, he talked and taught us for those 2 hours. And he dropped many jewels and gave us a lot of deep information. One of the biggest things he mentioned was that one last thing that he had to do, and he said that was basically form Christ, in the people before he was to leave, to depart. And he said he feels comfortable that, he has the youth that are out here doing what needs to be done. And so that was amazing.
So going back I know there's some moments where you probably watching a lecture by the minister or hearing him or reading something, and you like, man, I sat at the table with this man. Like looking back at that experience, what has been some of the lasting impacts that it's had on you?
Looking back was just how passionate he is, how loving and how giving he is. And even when he was sitting there eating, like his focus was to teach still, to tell us, how happy he is, how proud of us he is. And, just, I don't know, he was very, very humble, very humble. He has a beautiful sense of humor. And it made me feel comfortable because, he's down to earth. He's like us, just wanting to give his all to us. And I thought that was just so amazing and something that, everyone needs to know about him, because you may get your different perception of the minister based off of all the craziness that they put out. But he's really a beautiful, beautiful human being.
Beautiful. And I thank you for the comments that you've shared thus far. We're coming up on our first break, so we're going to pause for some brief announcements, and we'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
The hashtag Bank Black social media campaign made strides not only in revolutionizing how we bank, but also how we think. The movement inspired thousands of African Americans across the country to transfer or deposit millions of dollars into Black-owned banks. These are banks that will invest in urban communities, employ African Americans, support Black businesses, and inspire Black home ownership. This is a very proud moment for our culture as we are taking small, but significant, steps towards building Black power through Black wealth.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is slow to judge and condemn, and is always looking for ways in which he can inspire our people to do better. He looks for the good in human beings, and he teaches others to do the same. In your time of being around the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, what can you share with us about how he handles his students, his helpers, when they're at their high moments, but also when even that they may be at their low moments? What can you share with us of some stories?
I could capitalize it by saying, the minister said, if there's even an atom of good, focus on that atom.
Lord have mercy.
And as we grow, we see more and more of what, I mean, that statement, like every statement he makes, is of life. They grow. We grow. If we grow in those statements ourselves and the things that he has said. And there have been times, you know how it is, somebody gets in trouble.
You know, the title of this show, we go back to our sister. The title of this show, our sister, is I Have a Testimony. And one of his main objectives is to help people who have been poisoned by the media against the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So my question to you is this: if you had the opportunity to stand before the world and to testify about 3 qualities of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, what would be those 3 qualities that you would choose to tell the world about this man, and why?
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. The first I would say is humble. I believe he's one of the most humble human beings that I've ever met in my life. And all praise is due to Allah for that. He puts others' needs before his needs. And you don't find a lot of people like that in this day and hour. I would say he sacrifices. So he is, I would just say he sacrifices his all in the midst of pain, in the midst of sorrow, in the midst of deprivation, loss. He continues to push forward and work hard in this time. And I would say loyal to his people, loyal to his nation, and most importantly, he's loyal to Allah. And yeah.
Well, those are good. Remember to center yourself. You know, we've been working on this centering thing.
Yes, sir.
I know
it's it together.
We're working on it. It's good. So those are good. And you know, we know that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been called anti-Semitic. He's been anti-Christian, and all of those things we know that are not fair descriptions of him. But he's also been accused of being misogynistic, which is one, right? From your perspective, for someone who's watching this, right, who may believe that the minister has something against women, what would you share with them to help to correct or help them to see he's not that type of man?
Yes, sir. Number one, how he treats his wife. That's the first. But he did a lecture called The Divine Value of Women. And he broke down who we are as women, how Allah created us, and what Allah created us, and our purpose as women on this planet Earth. I cried listening to that lecture, and every time I listen to it, I cry, because I've never seen a man as passionate and as loving toward women as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I have transformed my life and the lives of my children by his guidance, by the things that he say about women that uplifts us, that we are the mothers of civilization. A nation can't rise any higher than this woman. And once you understand that, once you understand the value of the womb, the value of the woman, Mary in the Bible and Holy Quran, then you understand yourself. And we are taught to accept our own and be ourselves. And so the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is far from anyone who is misogynistic toward anyone. He is a lover of women. He is a lover of the mother of civilization and the nation.
you talked about in regards to how the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is even help in regards to the guidance with your children as well. I would imagine you have daughters. How have you used the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to help them? Like if there's a mother who's watching this and would like to find a way to use the minister's guidance to help them with their daughters, what are some things that they can do?
Definitely. One is just first and foremost, be the example. Pray with your children, cook with your children, teach your children. We're taught to read the supreme wisdom to our children to give them wisdom and knowledge and understanding of who they are, to teach them about the planet Earth, you know, the size and the shape and where we came from, that we came from Allah and we came from the earth. And just learning how to love yourself so that you can push that same love into your children. My children are learning to accept themselves. They're okay with being modest. They're okay with not eating, you know, pork and eating healthy based off the guidance from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on how to eat to live. They're into that. They want better for themselves because they see mommy instilling that in herself as well as in her children. So those are the key fundamentals that I would say as a woman to accept your own and be yourself. Be everything that you want to be. Show your children, you know, that you can love yourself and continue to live in a righteous manner in this wilderness and in this world.
It's interesting. You use the term that Master Farrakhan Muhammad and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about regarding America, when it talks about the wilderness of North America, right? And I'm still trying to work on rolling my R with the Savior's name. I got to work on it. So as a Muslim woman, like what are some of the things that you do to help yourself to stay on your Islamic path, being that we live in this wilderness of North America?
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. The biggest thing I've learned right now is to keep the light and keep the word in your ear at all times. So I'm a constant reader. I always, by Allah's grace and mercy, strive to get a book and always read. I read Minister Ava's book, one of her books called Force and Power of Being, and she was mentioning, she said, even if you're in a grocery store, or even if you're out, always have a book with you so that you could just pull it out and read. If you have to wait, you know, we're taught to learn patience. So that's a way you can pull that out and learn patience. Making sure that you're praying. The biggest thing is what Brother Nuri spoke about today during the lecture is how to eat to live. I believe that had significant, that played a significant part in my spirituality and learning to eat 1 meal a day. I've also done 1 meal every other day, fasting, and, you know, abstaining from food and water for long periods of time. It makes you get more in tune with Allah. It makes you understand the word a lot more. And it helps you with your spiritual connection with Allah.
Wow. How are you, as a Muslim woman, an MGT, because it's not just a Muslim woman, an MGT, yes. How are you received by women who are not in the Nation of Islam when they see you out and about, covered? What have been some of your experiences?
Yes, sir. We're taught to want for your brother and sister what you want for yourself. And so the type of personality that I have, I really love the sisterhood. I'm a people person, so I love people, and I'm always have a very bubbly personality. And so when I'm at work or I'm in places, I always just be the best sister I can be, to be that example, especially if we're wearing our headpiece, because we reflect the Nation of Islam. We're not just reflecting ourselves, like you said, MGT. We're not just Muslim. We are Muslims in the Nation of Islam. And so I've always received love and support from my sisters all across the nation. I have, and all across the world, I would say, not just the nation. I have sisters that are Sunni Muslim that are around me, sisters that are from Pakistan and different things like that across, that loves, you know, the nation and how we represent, you know, the teachings and how we believe and how we pray and fast. And we do follow the Holy Quran, and we do understand the teachings of Prophet Muhammad. And so I've been embraced by that, you know, and just sisters that are not even in the nation, lost found sisters as well. They just love the fact that we are who we say we are, and we're representing that, and we're not afraid to be what we say we are.
Do you find yourself, or do they ask you a lot of questions? Like, what's some of the questions that they ask you about being a Muslim woman in the Nation of Islam?
Yes, sir. They definitely ask a lot of questions, like about how we eat. I know a sister in particular. She always asks me, like, what do we eat? How often we fast? Definitely, do we do our prayers? How we get our clothes made? Where do we get our clothes from? And you know, just wanting to know, like, how we bond with sisters and how we meet. You know, meet together and socialize and different things like that. So.
Well, wow.
They don't ask a lot of negative questions. Majority of the time, it's been really positive.
What would you say has been one of the most rewarding things for you as an MGT?
Oh wow, the most rewarding thing for me as an MGT, excuse my mic, is the sisterhood. I would say that is the most rewarding thing. To be able to be in a nation with sisters from all walks of life. To have the older pioneer sisters, I love them. I can sit and listen to stories forever about, you know, how they were when the messenger was present and the early days of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. I just love everything about it. Like I'm all in. Like every aspect of these teachings, just what we represent, the sacrifice beyond the sacrifice from all the lieutenants and captains and ministers. I'm all into that.
Praise be to Allah. We thank you for your responses. We're coming up on our next break, so we're going to pause for our next announcements, and we'll be back with our guest, Sister Tequella Muhammad. This is I Have a Testimony with National Network View.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. As we renovate and restore the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have recycled the old copper gutters and downspouts and created a 1 ounce 39mm coin made of 100% pure copper. Each coin is professionally graded and has its own barcode and registration number. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button, or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Clifton Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a man of great significance, and he possesses great knowledge that is given to him by Allah and his Christ for all of humanity in this day and time. This is why the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, during the Theology of Time lecture series, instructed all to look at, listen to, and obey the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
This is one of the strongest national preachers that I have in the bounds of North America. Everywhere you Hear him, listen to him. Everywhere you see him, look at him. Everywhere he advised you to go, go. Everywhere he advised you to stay from, stay from. So we are thankful to Allah for this great helper of mine, Minister Farrakhan.
So, sister, I saw during the Farrakhan challenge, I guess there was one day where people were asked to talk about briefly, I don't know, how they came to Islam. And I actually came across yours in preparation for this interview. You have a very interesting story about how you came, because at a young age, right? I don't want to tell the story. I want to tell you that. So tell us about your journey to Islam.
Yes, sir. So it started, I said on the post, it started when I was 2, because that's what I can remember. My mom said I was 6 months, but give or take 6 months or 2, I was 2. I grew up listening and hearing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan every day. You know, my mom is devoted Muslim in the nation, and she transformed her life into this into these teachings, into learning and embracing Islam. And throughout time, I always felt deep within myself that it was something different about me, I guess, and a little special, because I was always, to me, in tune with the teachings. And even at 7 years old, I actually read a Theology of Time book that was given to me when I was younger. And it was really a smaller, thicker book than the one that I've seen recently. And I read it at 7, but it scared me. It scared the life out of me. So in my mind, I'm like, I got to stay on the right path. I always thought about the baby planes, the mother planes, and the destruction of this world. And so I always had that in my mind as I grew up. And at a certain age, I kind of left the nation around 15, 16 to just, you know, in the world, doing my own little thing. And I came back around 22. And I came back, I don't even know, I just feel like this is definitely a lie. But I was in New York City, and I was on a train. And I was sitting on that train, and me and my friend, we were looking for a wedding dress for her. A bridal dress for her wedding. And she was looking for it for me. And we did like an overnight trip. And when I sat on that train, next to me, a brother sat down. He had the Final Call newspaper. And he opened up that Final Call newspaper. And it had the value of the woman in there. It had an article about women and who we are to Allah, and what our value is, and what our nature is, and how Allah created us. And I was in a phase of my life during that time where I didn't even know myself. I had lost myself a little bit. And so when I read that, my whole heart dropped, because I was just like, wow. I was like, wow, I got to go back to the mosque. And immediately, like when we returned, that was a weekday. By that weekend, no, it was like a Wednesday. The first time I went to the mosque and came back, it was a Wednesday. And there was only 2 people at the study group. It was a study group. It was just the minister, and it was a brother. And I was in there, and at first I was like, where's everybody at? You know, why is it not full? You know, I was thinking to myself, but I feel like all of that was a lie. Because I was able to come in and sit down, and the brother was teaching, and everything that he was saying, it was about my life. It was about me. And I knew Allah was like, it's time to come home now and get it together. And ever since that day, I got myself, I pushed myself to stay in the course process immediately, like within a couple months. And I was registered. And from there on, Allah has literally taken my life and elevated places, just elevated my life with these teachings, and transformed my life into, like, I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, I'm all for Allah, I belong to Allah. And when I say my life and death are all for Allah, that's how I am, and that's what I am at this moment. Wow. And that's what brought me back in.
And so you're saying your mother, she's in the nation, or was in the nation, or she was reading the books?
Yes, my mother's still in the Nation of Islam. She's never changed herself. She's always been covered, always been pushing me to come in. But at a certain point, she did stop, because she was like, okay, you know, you're not coming. But she still remained a Muslim. She still did what she needed to do. And like in the back of her mind, she knew that I would come back into the teachings.
Wow.
And so, yeah, she's still in. Me and her are like best friends. And, you know, I'm always thankful to Allah for her staying the course as well all these years.
Wow. What advice, because you have parents who are in the Nation of Islam and we have children, and of course we would love to see our children be active in the faith, and everybody has their own road that we have to walk down, even our children. What advice would you give? This is a two-part question. What advice would you give to parents that will help them to just be patient in their children's evolution if they decide to start practicing the faith? And what would you say to teenagers who are born into Islam, but the world has its pull?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna answer the second part first for the teenagers. Stay the course. Your parents want the best for you, and this world's pull, this enemy's pull on you, and we don't want you to go down with this enemy. The enemy goes down all of those. He's coming to us from our straight path, from our left side, from our right side, and his aim is to make all of us deviate. So as your parent, they're giving you the best that you need to survive in this day and time, in this hour. So stay the course, don't give up, and just find ways to implement yourself into the Nation of Islam. This is your time to shine bright. And I would say to the parents when I was younger, I felt like it wasn't enough going on for me as a teenager. At 15, 16, I was kind of bored. My mother was excited because she was able to come in and go and do things, but I didn't feel the connection. I didn't feel connected to peers. I didn't go out much with other people my age, other believers, children my age. And so I got to a place where I kind of was disconnected, to a point where I didn't feel like I can even defend the teachings because I didn't. My mother wasn't into it with me. So I would say, as parents, have your children, talk to your children, teach your children with you, cook with your children. And the biggest thing is to love on your children, meaning giving them actual hugs, telling them and looking at them in the eyes and telling them that you love them. And, wanting to spend time with them. You can't get all wrapped up into the mission and neglect your children. Make sure that they know that you love and care for them.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful responses. What, you've been in the Nation of Islam, or you actually came back at the age of 22. I don't know how old you are now, but you don't have to say your age. But what advice would you give to Muslims, adult Muslims who are watching this? And because the same way that there's a pull of the world on teenagers, isn't even a pull for Muslims, adults. So what advice would you give to Muslims to stay on the track and hold on to the handle of Islam?
Yes, sir. I would say the biggest thing for me is staying in the light. And what staying in the light means is continuing to read. Like, a lot of us, we have the Messenger's books, but we don't open those books up. We've had those books sitting. Like, for example, we have How to Eat to Live. And a lot of times, we go to other people to get information on what's in the book, and we don't really read it ourselves. Or we read it when we first came into these teachings, and we think we know it, and we don't. So I would say we have to humble ourselves and reopen up these books. Like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, dust off your Quran and pick it up and go into it. We have Fajr prayer line in the morning. You can get on Fajr prayer line, or get up with a group of individuals and believers where you all are reading that Holy Quran, because it's so much spirituality, so many lessons, and so much guidance in that Holy Quran. So stay reading that book daily, especially before dawn. Strive to complete your 5 prayers. Let's not get lax. Even if you miss your prayer, take a time to make up the prayers at night, because those prayers are very fundamental to our life. And, Allah said, pray to me, I will answer you. So when you pray to Allah, He will give you the answer to all your needs. And a lot of times we're suffering right now because we haven't reached out to our Creator to help us through whatever situation and whatever trial and tribulation we're going through right now. So just stay the course, stay in the light of Allah. We know this enemy is wickedly wise, so we don't want to get to a place where we're watching a lot of stuff of nonsense and listening to a lot of things of nonsense, because we'll get caught up and he'll deceive us and we'll be back in the world overnight. So just stay in the light.
Very good. Now, so one of the pictures that we found and we showed is of you reading from the study guides, the self-improvement study guides, what do you see as the value of those study guides?
Yes, sir. The value of those study guides is life. I get complete life from reading those study guides. I said when I came back into the nation, I didn't know who I was. I went through a period of low self-esteem, I would say. Low self-esteem when I first came back into the nation. When I was in the world, I had very low self-esteem. I was not confident within myself. I did not love myself in any way because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know whose I was. Even growing up in the teachings and reading and studying, you have to implement those things in your life. Reading those study guides, studying those study guides have literally transformed my life. And I'm saying that like 100%. Knowing things, breaking down the definition of words, learning what anxiety was, learning what lack of faith is, and learning what fear is. And the biggest thing was the story of Hagar, because I believe, the minister said that reflects us in the nation as well as the women here in America. But I took that as a personal story for myself on things that I've been through, because I feel like at one point in time in my life, I was wandering in the wilderness, striving to find myself, and I felt lost. And the only person and the only thing that could help me at that moment in time is a creator, and that was Allah. And so those study guides give you all of that and then some to be able to help yourself, to be able to help your family, and then to be able to help your nation.
Now, you talked about your challenge in overcoming low self-esteem. How did the teachings help you to do so?
The teachings helped me to do that, first and foremost, by showing me myself. I prayed to Allah during the prayer, and I said, show me who I am, because I realized that there was a lot of pride going on in the Bible and the Holy Quran. It talked about pride. And I said, if it was so much pride going on, then that means a lot of it was unnoticed. We didn't know it. And so reading those study guides, it showed me, what pride is. It had me to break down what pride is, what anxiety is, what is the meaning of humility, what is love, what is duty. And when you break those things down, you have characteristics that you have to weigh yourself. And so we're taught to weigh ourselves and make sure we're weighing properly. What that meant to me was I had to size myself up, and I had to be honest with who I was. And those study guides broke down things about me that I had to look at myself and say, let me be honest with myself. Do I have these characteristics, these part of my character? And when I said yes, I sought out to fix those things. So I started reading. Like, I didn't have good, healthy boundaries. I didn't have a clue what boundaries were. So when I was married and I divorced, I realized when I got into that marriage, I got into a marriage of not knowing myself and not having boundaries. And I had to go back to myself and say, what got me into this situation? What got me into that one? And looking at it, breaking it down, and fixing all those problems.
Beautiful. Thank you. And we're coming up on our last break. So this is Brother Willie Muhammad with I Have a Testimony on National Network View. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
He anointed our head with oil till our cup runneth over. He who, Master Farrakhan, Muhammad, that is he.
Greetings from National Network View. This week's Final Call cover story headlines is Where You Live Killing You? As housing discrimination in America is not only supposed to be illegal, it also impacts how you live. Black people suffer health problems, exposure to environmental hazards, and lack of access to healthy food. The masses of our people also lack access to healthy living spaces as we are strategically positioned in the worst living conditions. This Final Call number 23 edition, middle page, features the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan message entitled The Scourge of Biological and Chemical Weapons in America. To read more, subscribe to finalcalldigital.com and tune into the all-new Final Call Radio. This is the nnvnews.com Final Call cover report.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for over 5 decades has proven that he has an unquestionable love for us. We in turn have a great love for him as well. Therefore, it is very important that those who watch these interviews, that you don't interpret our love for the minister as worshiping him, right? As expressed by our European representative, Brother Abdul Hakim Muhammad.
We don't entertain the thought of turning our backs on God's servant. We are here with him till the day that Satan makes the mistake of trying to attack him. We are with Allah's man, and we want to let the world know, don't mistake our love for worship. We love this man. He has given us life. He has introduced us to the Christ, to the Mahdi. How do you show appreciation like that? Don't insult us saying we worship him. We just love him because he's worthy of every ounce of love that we have.
And by Allah's grace, I had the opportunity to hear from our minister on yesterday, so I'm still full from that. So, dear sister, anyone that goes observes your social media pages, they can tell that there are 2 things that you are definitely interested in: how to eat to live and disaster preparedness, right?
Yes, sir.
So you have a great interest. We'll talk about the disaster preparedness. Why, like, what sparked that? Why are you so interested in disaster preparedness?
Yes, sir. Just to see our people survive. You know, like I said, when I read that theology at the time when I was younger, I always knew that the time would come that, you know, destruction would fill this planet, and we would have to prepare and be prepared. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has told us time and time and time again to prepare ourselves and our family. And now, being that I am almost 34, I see everything taking place that we were warned is going to be taking place in this hour. And so I have that passion like the minister that is, he wants to save our people. And I would do anything to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in doing that, to help save our people. And so it's just a passion of mine, because we're always the last to know. You know, when famine hits, we won't, you know, it's already in the process, and we don't have our lives secure. We don't have our people secure. So I felt like it had to be someone that was warning, helping to get our people to get the things that they needed in their homes right now. Because when that time comes down, it's going to be a lot that we're going to see. And a lot of it can be averted if only, you know, we get prepared. So.
And you were part of the of those believers who presented during this Savior's Day on disaster preparedness. Can you talk about what was your contribution? What was your focus as it relates to the presentation?
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. The focus was just securing your children. If most people may not know, if they don't, I am a mother of 6, and my oldest son is 15. My youngest daughter she'll be 5. And the biggest thing is making sure that your children are secure during this time. We know that times are coming, and children are on social media, they're on video games, and you know, they may know what's taking place to an extent, but they may not know to the level of what may come down. And if we're not preparing our children and teaching them and showing them what needs to be done during this hour, then we may risk losing our children as well. So I just kind of implemented ways that we can bond as families, how you can show more love to your children and families. If you were stranded in your homes, or if you were somewhere where you were unable to leave for long periods of time, how not to get bored, and you know, how to just to bond during that time, so that you all can continue to be that family.
How do your children respond to you being all on disaster preparedness? Or are they like, Mom, you're just doing too much?
Yeah, they do that too. I'm always out. Like if I see something that has to do like stoves, if I see anything that has to do with disaster preparedness, I'm buying it, I'm getting it, I'm always talking about it. But they're happy about it. But my son, he's 15, he will be like, Mom, yeah, that's enough is enough. But they know that I'm doing it out of love, so I think they really appreciate that part.
And in addition to disaster preparedness, you're also very passionate about how to eat to live. You talked about it. throughout the interview. What have been some specific benefits that you have personally experienced from How to Eat to Live that you could possibly share to inspire others inside and outside the nation?
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Definitely the biggest benefit is spiritual clarity. Being a lot more in tune with Allah and being a lot more in tune with my prayers. And I believe that, like I said, is attributed to eating properly. Also being physically fit and in shape. A lot of people look at me and be like, you have 6 children where? You know, they don't even realize it because you stay slim, you stay healthy, you stay physically fit as long.
Oh, like we've lost our sister. Hopefully she'll be joining us back where we can continue asking her or hearing her response regarding. She's back. Okay. You were talking about how it helps you to be physically fit. Your sound. No, we can't hear you. Put your sound on. No. Let me see. Yeah. Your mic is in mute. So while she works on that, once you just do testing 1, 2, we'll come back. So I pray that you all are enjoying this actual interview. We have more that's coming up, and while we'll just do what you probably can do, you can just log off and come back on or try now. Is your sound working now? Yeah, you may have to just leave and come back on. So while she's doing that, we'll just quickly go through these announcements. And so, we're here in the city of New Orleans. We thank you all who have been seeing this advertisement and you've been giving donations. We ask that you continue to do so because you are going to help us to be able to pay off our mosque mortgage. So we will greatly appreciate it if you all do. You can go on PayPal. You can reach out to me on social media. Every amount counts. Now, if you just happen to have access to $1 million, call us up. I'll let you know what our mortgage is. You can just write that check and we will greatly appreciate it. And then in addition to this, we are thankful for those family members, friends, and everybody who's seen this ad, and they've also been submitting their names of their family members, asking us to pray for them. We have a Miles 46 prayer group. So we thank you all. We ask that you all continue to keep submitting the prayer requests, and we're going to strive our best to continue to honor him. So it looks like our sister is back. You're back. Can we hear you? Testing 1. Can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got it. You were talking about just the benefit of How to Eat to Live and how you said in being physically fit. You continue.
Yes, being physically fit. I pushed myself beyond the limit, so I was eating 1 meal every other day, which actually was really good. I stopped it for my own purpose, but I definitely am striving to get back to that after Ramadan. But it's just so many benefits to eating properly. You don't have to go to the doctor. You don't get sick often. So I think that we all should at least strive to push ourselves to doing what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has proven works for us.
What were some of the things you did to help get yourself in the mindset mentally to do 1 meal every other day?
Mentally, I did a lot of manifesting. So I did a lot of listening to positive affirmations. I also listened to like motivational music every single morning, like Denzel Washington and other powerful influencers, just to get me up into the mindset that I can accomplish it, to learn about consistency and focus and discipline. I listened to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's videos and just kept the word in my ear day in and day out. And again, continuing to read and study on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. So how can people who are interested in finding out more about How to Eat to Live, finding out more about disaster preparedness, how can you be found on social media?
Yes, sir. I am under Divine by Nature 1, DIVINEBYNATURE 1. Or you can find me on Facebook under Tequella Muhammad. You can also go to NOI.org or Final Call store, and you can order How to Eat to Live Book 1 and Book 2. And yes, sir.
Yeah. And with for some people who may feel like, man, this because when you start preparing for disaster preparedness, you can feel like it's just overwhelming. I don't have the funds to buy all of this stuff. What are some simple things that people can do?
Just start a little goes a long way. Like I tell everyone, start with the navy beans. They still have bags of navy beans for like $1.25 at most stores. Walmart has them, Kroger has Publix. Just start with little things, flashlights, batteries. Build you a list. Make sure you have enough water on hand. I know that with the last storm in Texas, that was a big thing, that they weren't able to use the water, and a lot of people did not have enough water in their homes. So 1 gallon per person per day, bare minimum. And just continue to just stock every time you go out. Use $1 to get what you need. Also, if you're stressed about a lot of things, I just wanted to put up this book that I got from Minister Brother Willie.
Wow.
I have all your books. But
Praise be to Allah.
Addressing and surviving the pressures of life, so that it help you get through some things that you may be experiencing or some trials you may be going through. Because this definitely helped me when I was going through some things in my life.
Wow. Thank you for the plugs.
Praise be to Allah. And I read all your books, and I encourage everyone to get all your books.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you. And the last question as we get ready to end, if there are any sisters who are interested in becoming an MGT, what advice would you give them?
Do it. Praise be to Allah. Just go for it. The sky is the limit. To me, this world has nothing to offer us as women. So you want to be in a sisterhood. You want to be in a nation where we're learning how to take care of our husbands, how to take care of our children, how to sew, cook, how to act at home and abroad. You definitely want to join this sisterhood and be around us other sisters who are striving to be right in this time and to striving to live a righteous life together.
And was there anything that you wanted to share that you didn't get a chance to share because maybe I didn't ask the question?
I know we don't have much time. I did want to say one little quick thing. I know when I had dinner with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I was staring at his teeth, and I was wondering like how he was his age and how beautiful his teeth was. And in my mind, I was like, are they real? Right? That was me. Mm-hmm. And basically by the end of that evening, a little girl had came over. She was smiling at him, and she was looking at him, and she said, he was smiling. He said, "You looking at my teeth?" He said, "But my teeth are real." And then he looked at me, and I was just like, "Whoa!" So I don't know if it was a coincidence, but of course we don't believe in coincidences. So I just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah, well, that's a beautiful story, and those little bitty things like that, because I tell people that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the same way he is in public. He's the same way in private, even more so. And maybe in the private he probably shows a little bit more humor than in public, even though he does it in public, but he's the same. So thank you, sister, for your testimony. I pray that people are making comments. They are definitely loving it. And for those who are interested in seeing it again, this will be on NNV Network. So this is your Brother Willie Muhammad. Please make sure you all subscribe to NNV News Network. And let me say this. This is our own daily news network, NNV. All throughout the week. This is our daily news network. So make sure you support it. Make sure you tell everybody else about it. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and spread the word. Thank you all for tuning in. Continue to leave your comments. This is your Brother Willie Muhammad with National Network View.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.